Cash Patel. I do wonder about his lady friend. I didn't even know she existed. And someone pointed out, like, look at this fly, honey.
He doesn't have names. Let's just put that on the table.
He does not seem to be smooth when he was lying on Joe Rogan. Think about it, Joe. Why would I not tell you? We're being transparent all the way. Why wouldn't I tell you if there was something there? Why wouldn't I do it? Well, to lie and cover things up. That's why you wouldn't do it. There's no way he's talking girl. Hey, well, just imagine. What if actually when you take my clothes off, I look great, I'm hugely endowed, and I'm wonderful in bed. And then you go, oh, look how charming he is. Maybe I'm actually charming. Did you ever think of it that way? And it's like, no, I never thought of it that way. So yeah, I don't think he's got the game to just pull honeys. So it's gotta be a spy. She's gotta be a spy. They, them, maybe has to be a spy. Who knows? I don't know what Cash is into. Cash might be a dirty dog getting down. Anyway, director of the FBI, Cash Patel. Welcome to Loaded Talk. I am your congressman, the third most popular candidate to ever be. I'm Frank, and along with me as always...
What's up, planet Earth? I'm Bean.
There's the Beaninator, the Beano. Someone that I work with brought in a fresh thing of Beano yesterday, and thought of you.
Thanks.
Brought a little tear to my eyes. Yeah. All right, so, very much so, the Charlie Kirk assassination murder, whatever the preferred term is still sort of dominating culture and news. We talked a little bit about, the congressman who decided to go after all the social media companies and say, I'm going to come get you if you don't suspend everybody that says mean stuff about Charlie Kirk and report the user to us. I'm going to get you. Since now that idiot's going after Thomas Massie, because he says Thomas Massie is trying to hurt the Republican Party by trying to release the Epstein list, which is a bold stance to take. Anyway, it's gonna be fun watching that guy whose name I've already forgotten, but maybe it's a Cory something.
Booker?
No, not Cory Booker. He's on the Democrats. It's, I forget. Anyway, I tweeted something about him today, making fun of him. I'll look it up. But it'll be fun tracking him, because I think what he's trying to do, I think he's going to go in the track that Joe Hawley took starting the last Trump administration, where it's like, if I can be kind of a firebrand and like really get, the firebrand route that a lot of people take. And it worked pretty well for Hawley for a while. I think he's kind of teetered. Obviously you want it to be able to carry you all the way to presidency or, Fox News, whichever one's your goal. So we'll see. This guy seems like more of an impotent idiot. So we'll see what happens with him. But anyway, with Charlie Kirk, one thing that has been interesting is, of course, there's been so many different angles that the actual murder was being filmed in. And one of the challenges is with a lot of these angles, with the 4K, the HDs, all that kind of stuff, it's starting to look less likely that the trajectory matches the trajectory that kid would have from that roof. Now, this kid supposedly has fessed up to it by way of these text messages that we saw a Word document transcript of. So they theoretically exist. We, of course, have not heard from the roommate either, roommate/partner. And all we know is that the parents said, well, he fessed to it, and we convinced him to turn himself in, And that's the story. And that apparently they're not getting him a lawyer because he filed the paperwork to get a public defender. I imagine if your son just murdered somebody and you're pretty sure he did it, you wouldn't be quick to be like, let me pay to get you an expensive lawyer that we're going to lose our house over. But it still seems like, I don't know, maybe you try to get at least some sort of lawyer that's not a public defender, and maybe they will. These, you know, you can file changes later. Maybe it's just don't pay the money to get through the opening, not guilty plea or something. I don't know, but you know, I didn't pull up all these just because there's 1,000 different theories. We saw one where it looked like the trajectories coming in from behind, kind of in here and then out. And they slow down. You can see what looks like a projectile flying there. You know, the head movement reaction kind of matches that as well. You know, in one of these, they gave a theory about where the possible shooter was. You know, maybe hiding behind a shrubbery or what have you. You know, when I kind of dug into it, just using other clips that are floating around, the thing that the person thought, hey, maybe this could be it. There's still a thing like a trash can or whatever it is. That's the exact same height, exact same shape, still there now. So, I mean, it's possible someone could have been really crouched down. And, you know, anything's possible, I suppose. But I don't think that location is likely. You know, of course, you had the ones where they go, well, why not the mic pack? What if the mic pack had a projectile in it? Which I think might ignore the thing you see flying through the air on that one video. But there is funkiness in the back of his shirt, the way the shirt poofs out. That is a very strange poof, you know, for a t-shirt. You know, it's a lot of pressure going outward. You know, so I don't know. It's strange. Old Candace Owens on it. You know, she also surprise has doubts. And I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing. But I mean, we're not going to do too deep of a dive on this. But what are some of your thoughts? You know.
Well, I mean, based on the fact that, you know, what we're seeing, multiple theories and contradictory to certain theories that are very accurate, but then obviously like the projectile, I think there's multiple projectiles going on to like as a contingency. I don't know. I don't know.
The question is like, what we've been told is that there's only an entrance wound. I guess here, but and no exit wound that it hit a bone and stopped, which people are calling somewhat miraculous. I mean, it's possible for sure. It's definitely possible. So, you know, that's the thing. Like if there was an entrance, it would likely be for this thing to make sense with the size of like the exit wound and everything. It would need to be something kind of tight, like a 223 or something, you know, nothing too big. Otherwise, like a 30-06 or whatever, it'd be pretty bad.
Like there'd be a splash zone.
Yeah, like it would be pretty graphic, you know. So that's the thing. We haven't been told about any other points of impact or any wounds. So I don't know. You know, makes a good story. Turning Point USA. It's always like, actually it's. The lack of exit wound basically means that Charlie was able to save other people's lives by his body stopping the bullet from going all the way through, because there's people standing right behind him. So there might have been, might have been some other folks hurt. There's people who were eyewitnesses that said that they go, no, that's not the gun. I didn't see a hunting rifle in the guy's hands. I saw something smaller, looked more like an AR build, And so for whatever that's worth, the question, of course, comes at some point, okay, so, mic pack weapon or a second shooter or combination thereof, it can't, especially if there's some sort of like hidden device, if there's that kind of thing, we're not talking about some trans organization that's like angry about evangelical stuff, so then you go, what foreign nation or domestic, like what would be the motivation here? Like, what is the motivation? And we hear the thing, oh, he's been changing his mind on Israel. It's like, okay, I mean, kind of here and there, but he was very pro-Israel kind of guy, you know? And so even like his questions on October 7th, he's far from the only person who has had questions about the timeline. And he's not even it's not even like his cause, you know? When asked about it, he asked a question. He was like, well, for example, here's my thought. But he's not ringing that bell. That's like not his topic that he's, you know, shouting. So, you know, the big bad Israel, you go, okay, what would the point there be? And then like, okay, Russia. Okay, well, the point could be, you know, flag it as a culture war thing. The LGBT left is now starting a violent, you know, hot war against the right. So, you know, Putin right now is not slowing down in Ukraine, even though they had that meeting. Trump and him had that meeting. Trump is after Kirk, of course, but he has begun ramping up the rhetoric that maybe Ukraine actually can take all their land back. Maybe they can take even more, grow Ukraine. It's a little bold, but that's what he's coming out saying these days. And so you go, okay, well, maybe, you know, if Russia needs something to destabilize Ukraine, obviously you need to destabilize the United States. So it's like, all right, let's see if they'll go for one another. You know, China could have a similar sort of path. You go to Russia with it just because the USSR spoke about this as a tactic, you know. But I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on, you know, what kind of who this would benefit? You know.
The only thing is gaining control over Turning Point, but then again, I don't know what other than controlling the message that goes through. But was there a negative? Whoever would be interested in that in Turning Point, what were they against his messaging in the first place?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It was that organization was, you know, it was his baby. We talked about how he turned down outside financing, you know, ostensibly to not affect the direction of it. You know, his wife, his widow, got elected as the new CEO, which means there's a board. But still, so like she's in charge, and you know he always joked, "Oh, she's more conservative than I am," and all this kind of stuff. And that's the thing, you know. You can go, well, maybe she wanted it. It's like, well, I mean, she basically already had it with him running the show. She just, you know, didn't draw the salary for it, but also didn't have to do like CEO work. You know, there's administrative stuff that's not the same as sitting in the chair, doing the speaking and all that kind of stuff. You do wonder if you do go like, how can someone benefit? You go, okay, like theoretically, the right or the Christian conservative brand and power could grow with a martyr, you know. So it's possible. You go, well, what if somebody on that side of the spectrum was like, well, we'll have a martyr, it'll kick off this, money comes flowing in, we do this, we do that. I don't know exactly what, but that's the only way I can think of an entity other than just a psycho kind of person killing them could like benefit, like to have a conspiracy, to have something. There's got to be a reason, you know.
Well, I mean, maybe there was a plan and he either wasn't on board with it or they didn't think he could, but she would.
Bum, bum, bum.
But we're going to get into my conspiratorial side, and
which
we don't have time for.
Yeah, and it's just we need to have. I don't have anything queued up. We'd have to have some pictures and boards like this is where I think that before we go accusing a widow of conspiring to murder the father of her young children. So yeah, it's probably good to leave that one alone. But yeah, all that to say, like, distrust is still at an all-time high. Distrust of the FBI, of the government. It's a Republican administration. It's a Republican-led FBI or whatever. And this was a Republican that died, that got killed. And so you would think that maybe the Republicans who are following this would go, well, the good guys are going to figure it out. But that's not how people are going. People are going, something doesn't add up. And as we talked about, like the way the FBI released information, you go, well, this doesn't add up. They typed out these text messages on a Word document. Scouts honor they came between these two people. And by the way, it mentions every piece of evidence that there's questions about. They go, oh, hey, so that's not good. People were wondering about the movements of the body. Too many people were watching. There's too many cameras, and I don't know. I don't know. Maybe this kid did it, and there's some sort of weird. Maybe that little thing that flaps in the frame is just a moth going by or something. Maybe I don't know why the shirt moves like that. I don't know, and maybe I don't know. Maybe there was an exit wound that went out through the shirt. Maybe I don't know. I have no idea. But there's a lot of weird stuff about it. There's a lot of distrust. And this is going in a funny way. So on the right, there's a lot of obviously mourning. There's a lot of there's definitely a slice of people who are or were kind of having this spirit of vengeance. They had that massive funeral service where it started off with like a 3-hour worship service and then tons of speakers, including Trump and Vance and all sorts of people. They filled up the football stadium in Phoenix. They overflowed into what used to be the hockey stadium, and I think there might have been still standing room outside of it. So I think the football stadium was like 78,000 standing room, and the hockey was somewhere around 19,000, 20,000 capacity, and then people out too. So a lot of people went to this, and there was the big message. One of the highlights, of course, was Kirk's widow saying that she forgives the shooter. If you haven't watched it, she's tearful during it, and I think she's saying it in hopes that she will believe it at some point. But it pushes forward sort of a spirit of not violent retaliation, but doing the Jesus thing. So there's a chunk. I don't know if there's still a vengeance chunk after that. But you got the vengeance chunk. You got the people saying this is let's honor his memory, and they're talking about the good days and all that. And there's a chunk, and probably a little bit of both those camps, of just total distrust in this narrative, finding out what happened. And then on the left, there's indifference. There's some people who go, oh, it's sad. It's sad. Like, we should be able to disagree without violence. There's definitely a chunk of real people that go, this is crazy. That's too far. There are some people that go, well, shouldn't do it, but he's a Nazi or whatever. And then there's a chunk that is essentially still actively celebrating it. This is here. I'll show this little picture. Let me just. What did I do? Well, whatever. I'll just jump to it anyway. So this was on a campus. It's a flyer. It says, "Hey, fascist, catch." That was written on that bullet casing. The only political group that celebrates when Nazis die. Join the John Brown Club. So that is a flyer that was found at Georgetown University, so right near the Capitol. I guess we'll jump to here. So this is from the Blaze. Left-wing organizers appear to have posted flyers advertising their club at Georgetown University. They had that flyer. Okay, this dude said he found it.
Who's John Brown?
So, the John Brown Gun Club is a leftist group that originally sought to militarize the white working class and spur it towards a social justice revolution, according to the Counter-Extremism Project. Although the club claims to simply act as an armed security at protests, local chapters have often been associated with other left-wing militant groups like Antifa and have been involved in violent attacks. In 2019, a member tried to blow up an ICE detention center with a Molotov cocktail. So John, I don't know who this John Brown is, but they, it started off as one of those things where it's like, arm up. We're not going to be overrun by the the capitalist pigs and the whoever. The other side has guns. We should have guns. We should be armed. And I don't know what year it started either, but I know like definitely in the kind of 60s going into the 70s, there was some belief as the law enforcement and things like that were being weaponized against people. The Black Panthers were more of a militant group compared to like Martin Luther King's movement. And with the hippies, at some point the Hells Angels would come out and offer like work as security. Of course, that went bad, and they ended up just doing gang stuff, of course, selling drugs and getting violent. So I guess the start like that, but it's basically a leftist, proudly leftist militia group. And I've got no problem with militia groups, but you can't be killing people. And the challenge here is that the flyer's definitely celebrating the shot. I mean, they said celebrate when Nazis die. And the only problem with that sentence, like being anti-fascist or anti-Nazi, it's fine until you get wild and loose with the definition of a Nazi or a fascist. If you're not a member of the National Socialist Party of Germany, you're not a Nazi. And you're not a neo-Nazi if you aren't a follower of Adolf Hitler and his beliefs and his, I guess you could call them teachings or whatever. If you don't follow that sort of stuff, you're not a neo-Nazi either. And fascist has its own definition too. Antifa, they act like fascists. But of course not. They just act like that to counter the fascists. To beat the fascists, you have to be the fascist. Yeah. So it's one of those. It's crazy to me how, like, when Trump declared Antifa a terrorist organization, the number of people are like, oh, it's just an idea. The people that just come out and are echoing this left and right. It's not even a group of people. It's just an idea. It just means anti-fascist. Who doesn't believe that? Because come on, guys. Like, everybody has eyes. When you see, like, you see people in balaclavas coming out dressed in all black, throwing Molotov cocktails and wrecking joints, taking over city blocks with violence. Violence is their currency. Doxing and violence, or a combination thereof, that's their currency. Look, Andy Ngo, the reporter, they've messed him up a number of times. One of their favorite things used to be milkshaking people, which is where you put quickcrete in a milkshake cup, and then you chuck it at them, and any pictures, it makes it look like you're throwing a milkshake at somebody, but you're really throwing a brick at them. That was their big thing. They love doing that kind of stuff. And so it's, they're clearly violent. They're not, sometimes they say they're an anarchist group or whatever. They're not. They're a lefty group. They do believe in government power. They just believe it needs to be flexed the way that they want to flex it. And they use fascist techniques. So when you have an armed wing of that sort of thing, that's saying, hey, we got a Nazi. Come join our group. Maybe you want to get a Nazi too. It's a bit of a problem. To be honest, I wouldn't be shocked if at least one member of that club was in the FBI. I mean, there's just no way at this point putting up that flyer on Georgetown University, like the farm system for U.S. intelligence. I mean, like, come on. So you go, oh, hey, join our group. And you're going to have 3 members of 3 different intelligence groups that are about to join. And one's going to be Russian. Maybe one's going to be CIA. One's going to be FBI. But you're going to have, and you'll probably have an Asian kid too. Because I'm definitely not Chinese.
I am not a spy.
I'm not a spy. I'm just here to do normal, what are we, anti-fascist militia things. I like it. I kill Nazis. So it's so unfortunately there's this flavor of the left that's not only indifferent to what happened, and not just celebrating it, but like really celebrating it in the full, like, we should continue to take action sort of way. Let's see. What did I want to... So,
I wonder how you show up to something like that. Like, hey, saw the flyer. This is where we kill Nazis.
I didn't mean to disturb your Black Panther party. Yeah, I think you just find a nice hippie girl. That's a bit easy, and then you can just go to the party. Be like, hey, I'm with the girl that has banged all of you. She'll get AIDS later. But after I get a piece, she'll get a little AIDS. So I guess actually, yeah, whatever. So the question is, so from the beginning, after the Charlie Kirk thing, they came out, they said this is somebody that's radical left-wing ideology. This was, later the guy, he's in love with a male transitioning to female. And so this was about that. This was about Charlie Kirk's stances on like trans and gay and all this kind of stuff, or at least perceived stances. And then the left came out, of course, and they said the parents are Republicans. This kid is a Trump supporter. He is MAGA. Jimmy Kimmel famously had his little bit. He goes, they're trying to deny this kid as anything but what he is, which is one of them. And you go, okay, which of course I got him in trouble. And so, we find out, assuming that what we've told her is accurate, that, this kid does have, he is a member of the left. That was the accurate reporting. And so the Gavin Newsoms and Chuck Schumers, all these people are going out and feigning outrage. I can't believe, without any evidence, they're going to go out and blame an entire chunk of people. You see this all over the place from Democrats, where they go, I can't believe, it's irresponsible to just blame it without any evidence at all, just blaming a whole group of people. And you go, well, okay, but the number of people that get called Nazis is not unsubstantial. But so they're crying about that. So then we had another shooting. And actually, we'll jump to the Federalist. Has a little piece here. So it's another day, another act of left-wing violence. Another act of left-wing violence, another media cover-up for the left-wing terrorist foot soldiers. In the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination, the corporate media has put an enormous amount of effort into a psyop to make Americans believe the assassin was actually a Trump supporter. While they did that, 3 more acts of left-wing violence took place. An attempted firebombing of a Fox News van, a shooting at an ABC affiliate after Jimmy Kimmel's well-deserved suspension, and most recently, a shooting at an immigration and customs enforcement facility in Dallas, Texas. That is all in a 2-week time period and does not take into account school shootings, other attacks on ICE, assassinations or assassination attempts, and other instances of left-wing violence Americans have seen. And then the media is running cover. So after the ICE attack, so there's a gunman lied in wait and shot up an ICE van, hit 3 people. All of them ended up being detainees. Because everyone ended up being a detainee, all the news people were going, MSNBC, CNN, were like, well, maybe this was a MAGA guy that's tired of the immigrants, and so they wanted to kill a bunch of immigrants. Like, that's probably the thing. They came out and it's like, immediately, this was a MAGA supporter. That whole not blaming people just off the riff without evidence. As soon as they got a little evidence, such as the bullets saying like anti-ICE, which is something we'll get to in a second. But once you have that and go, seems like it's not that. It does seem like left-wing guys. Suddenly Fox News didn't start covering it real big, and the other ones kind of got a little bit more quiet. But these things keep popping up. Even the school shooting that occurred on the day that Charlie Kirk got murdered. They said, well, this kid was radicalized by the internet into, neo-Nazi thoughts, right-wing kind of things. And so I started seeing that. I was like, well, that's interesting. And honestly, I haven't looked up this kid at all, So I looked him up, and there's a website. It's called something like Watch People Die or something like that. It used to be on like Reddit or 4chan or something, and then got banned because, it's beheading videos and all the stuff that used to be on. Yeah. A lot of stuff that used to be on Live Leak, But a number of school shooters have frequented this website. And so there's a lot of kind of hero worship for especially school shooters that post content of their, like the New Zealand guy. So you can watch his video, you can watch a bunch of stuff. And so the way that the media gets to this kid, and I don't know for sure, I mean, he's 16. So as far as what he believes, he doesn't know, other than idolizing school shooters. He looked at a lot of school shooter content, and I guess there were some posts he had that paying homage to one or two past shooters, and
He's essentially a copycat.
To a degree. I mean, maybe because this guy, the ICE shooter, also spent a good amount of time checking out the Charlie Kirk assassination stuff. I don't know if this guy, I mean, really everything after Columbine, in my view, is a copycat. And so there's been different twists on it. There's been recently the trans twist of going after small schools because of you're angry about your childhood and you're trans and your parents don't understand. So that's a new twist, but really it seems everything after Columbine, that's what opened the door where all these unwell children said, well, this is how I can get my revenge. I'll just kill them all. So in that regard, yeah, but it's, he was a kid. I don't even know the motivation other than he was unwell. I'm guessing bullied. He had his grievances with the school, and he would watch beheadings and he would watch death for a long time, many hours of just watching people die on the internet and then kind of idolizing it. And so, but the way they get to right wing, whatever, neo-Nazi even, which is also funny that the media goes, these people go, oh yeah, you say he was radical left wing. Well, this guy was radical right wing. He was into neo-Nazi stuff. And you go, when we say left wing, we mean things that elected Democrats say. So to be a one for one, it would have to be it's this person loves Ted Cruz or something, and I'm doing it for Ted Cruz. So that's the other. But basically, this guy watched videos that other killers had watched, and those killers had espoused neo-Nazi thoughts or something like that. Basically, he watched some content, and someone else involved in that content or involved with watching that content had said Nazi things or were interested in other content that was neo-Nazi ish. It's very.
So it's by association only.
It seems well, from what I was able to find, it seems guilt by association and trying to find a way to shoehorn blaming it on the right into it. Just to reiterate, the Nazis are a National Socialist Party. That is a left-wing authoritarian organization. They were big into they're big into choosing how people looked and how able they were, based on selective breeding and killing the babies that would not be bred right and all this kind of stuff. So it even sounds more like the modern day left wing, the way that they got totalitarian in their belief system and the cancellations and all that. And right now the Republicans are trying to do that crud, of course, a little bit like we talked. But anyway, it seemed like they're trying to shoehorn that in, and he's just a messed up kid that loved a website that's all centered around watching people die. But outside of that, you get this kid, and it's just another one where you go, hey, this seems to be another kid who he said that he wanted to, what did he say? That was a different post. But basically, he said something like that he wanted ICE agents in the future to be concerned when they're doing their job, wondering, is there a sniper on me now with armor-piercing bullets? So I guess this was something he had written or something like that. So his motivation, which you're shooting at ICE, obviously the motivation has something to do with immigration, But that was his thing. He wanted to essentially install fear into ICE agents so that they would be afraid of doing their job. Fewer people would try and get a job with ICE because they don't want to get shot by some other person of like mindset. But the way you hear people like Gavin Newsom and some of these national leaders on the Democratic Party, because they talk about it as if ICE agents are literally going around kidnapping innocents and holding them hostage, torture, all the stuff, that it's this barbaric thing that's occurring, that everyone's being treated in barbaric ways, and that it's an authoritarian, illegal act that's going on, and that people need to resist and fight back. Well, this is what resisting and fighting back looks like. If you're encouraging people that you as an elected member of our government, you're powerless to stop this out of control authoritarian regime from doing this, what is an illegal act, you're powerless to stop it. People need to rise up and stop it. Well, you never call to violence, but that sure sounds like a call to violence. And the problem with that too is you don't even get to, because you get into like crazy hyperbole and essentially call to violence, you can't discuss the actual problems with what they're doing. The lack of identification and covering the face and all that's problematic. I understand that they don't want to get doxxed because that's what would happen. Their houses would be burnt down, obviously, which also, speaks to the direction that the amount of fear that people feel about politics. It pretty much comes in one direction. There's like groups that'll get afraid, like Hispanics or LGBT will feel afraid by someone's politics. Like, oh, this is gonna, it's gonna make people feel more bold about saying racist things or acting racist, or But it's one of those. If you drill down and you go, can you give me an example of something that has happened that you're worried is going to happen more? They go, no, it's just, I don't know. It just feels, I feel uncomfortable that these sorts of things could start happening. And you go, okay, I'm fine. Policies that give you pause. But people actually damaging property, people actually trying to ruin people's lives before the Charlie Kirk murder, because obviously anybody that posted a video online, they were quick to try and find who those people worked for or went to school at and said, hey, look what your employee doing. But outside of that, like the people who have been doing the doxing, the ruining lives, the violence, the property damage, it has all been on the left. No one got a Biden or a Kamala bumper sticker and said, I'm afraid to put this on my vehicle because I'm afraid my car is going to get keyed. I'm afraid someone's going to break my window or set my car on fire. I'm afraid of putting a Biden or Kamala sign in my front yard because I don't want someone to vandalize my house or, do something horrible. But I can think of tons of people that I know personally who have, had these sorts of thoughts where they go, it's just not worth it, man. It's just, and that's people just normal, non-political in a presidential year saying like, I want to vote for, I want to vote for Trump. So I'm going to put a Trump thing on. But they go, like I'm not I'm not gonna, I know what will happen. An angry person on the left might attack me. You know, wear a MAGA hat in public. Someone might attack me at a Home Depot or on an airplane, and there's videos of it left and right. I mean, you see it. You know, granted, it's not the majority of the people, thankfully, but most of the rage directed at normal people who are not actually involved in anything has been coming from the left, and it's undeniable.
Like going out of their way.
Going out of their way.
Yeah.
Going out of their way. It's one thing to say, I don't know, someone yells, you know, they put, you know, FJB on their truck or something like that. Ah, screw that guy. Like, whatever, you know, but I'm talking about like going out of their way to pick a fight with somebody, to steal their property, to break their property, to, you know, however far one wants to go, you know, and then of course the people trying to break in and like kill Brett Kavanaugh, kill Donald Trump. You know, there was the whole, the Bernie bro, or he wasn't a Bernie bro, he was an old guy. He was crazy, but he shot up that whole Republican softball team and killed, just forgot her name, but like killed somebody and then injured somebody pretty badly. I think that was one. Anyway, but still, like it was one of those things. It was as the shooter was shooting or running away or something, he was screaming something about health insurance or Medicare for all. It's something very on brand for a Bernie supporter. And this happens a lot. And now, after the Charlie Kirk thing, Charlie Kirk assassination, the murder, people are bringing it up more. They didn't really bring it up after two people tried to shoot Donald Trump. One got his ear, one got caught. That one who got caught, who was representing himself in court in Fort Pierce. He was just found guilty. Yeah. And he tried to stab himself in the throat with a pen.
The court drawer.
The court illustrator drew it, which is, yeah, illustrator's like, I don't know, he looks pretty sad. Oh, that's a good drawing. I need to get my charcoal pencils out. But you know the sniper kid that actually got the ear. You know, we hear very little about him. They go, well, he did donate to this party once, and then he switched to that party. And you go, okay, like I don't, you know, who knows? But I mean, really, who knows? We don't know anything about old Thomas Crooks. But anyway, so after that, people weren't really driving home the point of left-wing violence. And even throughout the George Floyd riots, the mostly peaceful protests that were centered around love, that most people, you know, there were the actual peaceful protests, and there's people from different stripes that would show up to say, you know, whatever, like Black Lives Matter or whatever it was that they were saying those things. But then there's the riots of burning stuff to the ground, taking over city blocks, you know, just destroying businesses. And those are not right-wing people out there. So it's been an ongoing problem. And you can't, of course, lump everybody who votes Democrat into the problem. Like, of course not. But at some point, so, you know, the politicians need to stop being so hyperbolic. They have to stop talking like everything's the end of the world and you know they're going to literally enslave you or kill you. Here's the news, guys. That's the part of the government, Republicans and Democrats, they want to control your lives. The solution is make the government as small as possible. Okay. They probably don't want to murder you because that's inconvenient and they can't steal your money if they kill you. So most politicians, I'd say all politicians, probably don't want you dead. They probably want to slowly drain you of your resources for the rest of your life while they live in posh places. I think that's pretty fair. So at some point, especially like this, because I mean, during the first Trump term, you had people like Maxine Waters saying if you see like a Republican politician at a restaurant, don't let them have a peaceful.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's like don't let them eat peacefully, yell at them, get in their face, do all that, basically encouraging people to go out and assault elected members, like literally assault them. And this has been going on. It's been going for too long, and now that's being brought up, there's pushback of like, oh, it's so irresponsible to say this. It's like, well, maybe it does need to be said. Maybe it needs to be said over and over again until things get a little more relaxed. In the 90s, Bill Clinton was an 8-year president right after 12 years of Reagan Bush. There was plenty of protests, music, and art against Reagan especially, and Bush. There's plenty of love of the Reagan-Bush era on the Republican side. So there was room for conflict. Nobody was going out talking about killing each other. They would make fun of each other, call each other names, I'm sure. I remember some of that.
Fine. Yeah,
disagreeing. Even into the 2000s, I remember. You might get into a debate with somebody about something, especially like post 9/11 and should we be invading? And the answer is no, but some of us were stupid. How are we going to stop the terrorists? They kicked us in our teeth. We got to go kick their ass all over. And apparently, before we invaded Afghanistan, we knew that Osama bin Laden was in Tehran. Mm-hmm. This it was a Tucker episode from April, and the guy who was like he was in the House of Representatives. He was about to be the chair of the Arms Committee or whatever. He said he had a guy. He was like on the. Oh, that's a Senate committee. Anyway, he was on like an intelligence-based committee, and then he was on this other committee that has to do with migratory birds. Yeah, I don't know. There's a congressional committee on like migratory birds.
Of course there is.
Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, so he's connected with bird people, and so I guess they had an asset like CIA or somebody had like a NOC, I think it's called NOC, a non something. Anyway, basically an asset, and so this person was a falconer, and I guess Osama bin Laden. Also, big falconer. I guess in the Middle East, it's a big thing among the powerful and the rich, and it's kind of a cool thing, which I think is cool anyway. But anyway, it's a big deal. And Osama bin Laden, being a rich fella, had some very nice birds. And so the bird community, especially like the Arab bird community, knew he was in Tehran because he was out doing his falconing thing. And so this guy, according to this congressman, he said, like, hey, if you, like, I need you to get me sent there. I will go there and I will tag his birds, because I guess when they do the thing, maybe you catch it, send it back. I don't know how it works, but I guess at some point he could probably get his hand on the bird and put a little tag on it. He's like, then you can just follow the tags. He's going to bring him back to his house. And that was shot down by, I don't know who, but I think the CIA or something. But so anyway, we went to Afghanistan and Iraq instead, knowing that he wasn't there the whole time. Anyway, but during that time, like I remember my entire youth up until, really, because even during the W. Bush, people were mad. People were mad about the wars, which is a good thing. People are dying. And there was, what's her name? Cindy Sheehan, who started Code Pink. She would protest outside of his ranch in Texas. And, people call him a war criminal, Nazi, all this kind of stuff. And the Nazi thing, that's kind of when that really started ramping up. But beyond that, they mainly called him a fool, Curious George. They called Dick Cheney a Sith Lord or whatever. But,
pretty accurate.
Yeah, what are you going to do? But during all that time, I don't remember people having violent calls to action.
I think people just got fed up with the WMD thing. Like, it just kept getting. It was annoying. It was just like, stop. Like,
yeah. It was, that was actually one of the my pile over here that I guess in the raid of Bolton's place, some of the documents they have WMD related documents from the good old days. So. Whatever comes of that.
The Bolton Archives.
The Bolton Archives. Yeah. I love the way that he got on the radar, too, as he submitted the book, for clearance. So they go, there are a number of things in here that seem to be from classified documents, like a number of classified documents. Do you have classified documents? And he said, mustache. And then they left. He goes, well, that worked. But anyway, and then they came calling. Ends up, he's got them. His lawyer says everything's fine. He can have them, which kind of sounds exactly like Trump's defense when it happened, and Biden's defense. Like they found all these things. All three of them go, what? I can have them. And then people go, I don't know if you can, and then whatever. But Bolton said that when Trump said it was ridiculous and he was a criminal and should go to prison. I wonder if his tune's changed at all now that he's using the Donald Trump defense of, I can do that. Or the Dave Chappelle, I didn't know I couldn't do that.
Dave.
But yeah, I don't know. Like back then, it really wasn't until the Obama years. And that's when it started off. If you were opposed to like policy, you were obviously coming from it from a white supremacist spot. You were anti-black. Eventually, there was. It is really when everything became being intolerant. If you couldn't discuss policy. Everything was you didn't like him because he was black or he had a name that sounded like an Islamic name. Islamophobia. That stuff really ramped up around that time. And so with that, as this gets further along, of course, that's when you start to get more and more. Well, you have to resist the racists. You have to, punch a Nazi in the face. And 8 years, Obama would win, so it kind of would cool down. But this is, around the punch a Nazi in the face stuff really started going. But then, Trump term 1, I think that was the breaking point. That was when people go, like, I think the powers that be said, like, we do not have the grasp that we thought we had on this nation because they're doing something we don't want them to do. And so a lot of them started losing it. I think as they started losing it and having existential crises of their own, it started trickling down because they would talk about it in this existential crisis sort of way when really it's just a presidential election. Is he undoing a lot of things Obama did? Yeah. Should have done it by executive order. That's how executive orders work. You should have gotten laws passed. You didn't. Your mistake. Oh, he's naming a bunch of judges. Obama probably should have named some judges instead of just sitting around not doing it. People bring up Merrick Garland that he tried to get done his last couple months in office, and the Republicans should have put it up for a vote. They had the majority; they could have voted it down. But beyond that one Supreme Court justice, there was a ton of federal judges that Obama just didn't get to. He just went, I don't care. And so when Trump starts naming judges, like, oh, this is crazy. It's be the end of it. It's like, what? You had 8 years.
You went from nothing to something, so it seems crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of judges. Your guy should have probably done his job. Anyway, let's hear. Well,
it's amazing. I just want to say it's amazing how topics seem new to people, but you remind them that it's not new. It just looks different or it's presented in a different manner. So you think it's new, but certain things have been going on for the longest time.
Yeah. I mean, even things like you're getting rid of the Department of Education. Like, it's an attack on education itself. Like, we're going to have a bunch of drooling idiots in this because no one's going to know how to learn things. And then you point out the Department of Education was established in 1978 or 78, 79. And so you go, has anybody said that our education system has improved greatly since, 1980? Just round it up to 1980. No one says that. Everyone's talking about what a mess our system is. And the Department of Education gets bigger and bigger government or bigger budget and all this kind of stuff. And you go, okay, well, it's obviously not doing a good job. I've asked. It's a question I've posed to lifelong Democrats. Because they don't think about it. Department of Education. What do you think about that? And I say, well, do you think the education system's gotten better or worse? In the last 40 years, and they go, much worse. All right. I don't think we're going to be missing anything. You know, you go, if just pass, you go, just pass the funds or 40% of the funds directly to the states. And there you go. They'll get more money out of it than they were getting previously. And the whole goal of the Department of Education was just to make sure that that poor schools, particularly like poor black schools, didn't get the shaft in funding because, creative bookkeeping at city and county levels were like, well, we'll give some money this way, So that the whole goal was to make sure that poor schools and black schools weren't underfunded, and they were successful. Now you actually can get the most funding if you're in a zip code that has low income, low median, and that's why all the charter schools are over on the south side over here. That's they get more funding by opening up on this side of the city. If they go to the northeast, it's like, you're in an affluent zip code, you'll be all right, So, speaking of the ICE shooter, we had another bit of input given to us by the most brilliant law officer in the land, possibly in the history of the United States. Of course, Kash Patel, director of the FBI. So he says,
"Was this in the whole time?"
Yeah. He said,
"Did you see the LA built? They put him up in LA on the side of a building.
Oh, that's
like in video form. And he's just doing this the whole time. And people are driving. I could not. I would move. I can't look at that. It's dystopian, and my anxiety goes through the roof.
That's hilarious. I've not seen that, but I'm gonna look that up. That is a perfect like installation art kind of.
Yeah, that's all it is too. Is just him.
That's perfect. Whoever did that's great. He can't. He just looks scared all the time, and I do wonder about his lady friend. When someone I didn't even know she existed, and someone pointed out like, look at this fly, honey, and look at Kash Patel. They go, when you're getting into politics or into intelligence and law enforcement, they tell you to be careful when you're getting attention from people that seem way outside your zone there, that they might actually be a spy. I don't know.
He doesn't have game. Let's just put that on the table.
He does not seem to be smooth. He does. I mean, when he was lying on Joe Rogan, everybody knew he was lying. Even Rogan was just going, okay. And he's like, think about it, Joe. Think about it, Joe. Why would I not tell you? We're being transparent all the way. Why wouldn't I tell you if there was something there? Why wouldn't I do it? And what Joe's not saying is like, well, to lie and cover things up. That's why you wouldn't do it. But like that was his whole argument. There's no way he's talking girl. Hey, well, just imagine what if actually when you take my clothes off, I look great, I'm hugely endowed, and I'm wonderful in bed. And then you go, oh, look how charming he is. Maybe I'm actually charming. Did you ever think of it that way? And she's like, no, I never thought of it that way. So yeah, I don't think he's got the game to just pull honeys. So it's got to be a spy. She's got to be a spy. They, them, maybe has to be a spy. Who knows? I don't know what Kash is into. Kash might be a dirty dog getting down. Anyway, director of the FBI, Kash Patel.
The greatest introduction.
So he said, this morning, just before 7 a.m. local time, an individual fired multiple rounds at a Dallas, Texas ICE facility, killing one, wounding several others before taking his own life. FBI, DHS, ATF are on the ground with Dallas. Why do we need all of them on the ground? ATF, he used a gun.
Yeah, go away.
Yeah, problem, like, case closed. He did use a firearm. You did it. Do you know how to tell which gun it is? It's the one next to his bloody hand. It's the one that the barrel's still sticking out of the cavity of his skull. Like, that's the gun. Just read the letters on the side of it. Anyway. ATF. Ugh. They really need to end the ATF. While the investigation is ongoing, an initial review of the evidence, this is exactly like the Kirk assassination, shows an ideological motive behind this attack, see photo below, One of the unspent shell casings, same with it, unspent, recovered was engraved with the phrase anti-ICE. More updates will be forthcoming. These despicable, politically motivated attacks against law enforcement are not a one-off. We are only miles from Prairieland, Texas, where just 2 months ago an individual ambushed a separate ICE facility targeting their officers. It has to end, and the FBI and our partners will lead these investigative efforts to see to it that those who target our law enforcement are pursued and brought to full blah, blah, blah. Thankfully, no one got hurt. No law enforcement personnel. So here's this picture of these bullets. So that's not engraved. This dude, supposedly this dude, is there something else in this bullet? Or is that just water? I think there's something else over there. But this dude wrote with a pen the words anti-ice. Like, look how, that's a pen. You can tell he went over C a couple times, you know?
It looks like you wrote it on all of them, and they're just some are spun differently. Yeah.
Maybe. But yeah, but from what we can see, that's a pen. He went over it a whole bunch. That's what happens. Your letters get all funky when you're trying to go over them a bunch. They're not writing well because you're using a pen on top of metal. And so you go, well, not really engraved the same. Copycat, I get it. Maybe the kid's like, how did that guy do it? I don't get it. So, maybe this guy just didn't know what he was doing. But also, if you were trying to plant evidence, there you go. You just write it down real quick. It's not like you got to engrave it into it. It's just a pen.
They said he took his own life?
Yeah.
With a rifle?
Yeah. Well, I assume so. He could have had a sidearm, but...
Kurt Cobain?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's difficult. I mean, I'm not saying...
Yeah, he must have had something else, or it's just a complete lie.
Yeah. And that's, it's one of those things where, like, once again, Cash is piping up while the investigation is still going, and we can't say much. Here is a little bit that delivers the narrative that we want. And, I mean...
He even put C below.
Yeah.
Like, dude, the picture posts with the post.
Make sure you look at the picture, guys.
It's like, I gotta really make sure I drive this home.
It'd be better if the picture below was just like his girlfriend, and the next post is like, just kidding, look at that. She's hot, guys, right? Come on. But yeah, so once again, just like the Kirk thing, Cash is here, which apparently when he was doing those posts during the investigation for Charlie Kirk, when he was like, okay, ongoing, but this is what we know so far. He was at this happening restaurant, I think in Manhattan or something, that's really hard to get a reservation to. So he's sitting there eating whatever he's eating, I think it was Italian or something. He's sitting there eating noodles or whatever, going, ongoing investigation. Like, as he's tweeting this, like, when you look at the time, he was, I guess, at this happening restaurant. But, so once again, it's like, we can't say much, but we can say this, exactly what our narrative says. And so we're going to go ahead and share that now. Now, the most likely explanation for this is that, it's an ICE-related thing. It's a ICE opposite. Just like the Kirk thing, you go, this feels like it has something to do with, LGBT kind of rights and so on. Defend, and then they go, well, this kid and this kid, they're together, gay, he's trans. You go, well, that all kind of adds up. But there's just enough, like with the Kirk stuff, it's the video stuff that makes it weird. And also, once again, there's also the text messages, like releasing this kind of thing where you go, when celebrities get into spats, right? And maybe somebody accuses a celebrity of assault, and the celebrity is like, man, you wanted it, and they'll take a picture or take screenshots. They'll blur out stuff, but they'll take screenshots. You can see the bubbles and all that kind of stuff. And this thing, just type it, and I don't know, this whole thing, it gets a little squirrely. I'm not as, in spite of what my son says, I don't jump directly towards thoughts of conspiracy on everything. Sorry, Charlie.
I do. Guilty.
I like it. But some of the stuff you just go, I mean, if there's not, if there is no conspiracy, Kash Patel has gotten great at making people think there's a conspiracy.
That's a very good point.
I mean, like Epstein, all this kind of stuff. Everything he's touched, and it's September. He's been here like 8 months, and so far we're just like, well, something's wrong there. This is the guy that like helped Trump run by being like transparency, and they're like, look, we're even giving him Dan Bongino, like the podcaster that demands transparency. That used to be Secret Service, and look, he's got big arms. And then like I haven't heard anything from Bongino lately. I think because remember at some point they hired that co-deputy director, and everyone's like, well, they're pushing out Bongino because he won't get with the program. Maybe they just told him, I don't know what they told him, but maybe he's parked on the side. Maybe they're both doing administrative stuff. And they go, hey, man, why don't you take a breather from all this Epstein stuff? Just get out of the limelight. We'll let Kash do it. He's good at it. Look, he's good enough to get that gal. He's good enough to do this. Ooh. Okay, real quick. Totally unrelated to violence. But there's a looming government shutdown once again. We've got...
Fingers crossed.
I know. Let's see. September 30th deadline. So I think that's it. Anyway. This is an interesting position for the Republicans in that... there's already been a continuing resolution that's been passed forward to like get a month or two. But in this... It's the Democrats that are trying to hold it hostage, saying we'll only vote for it if you add $1.5 trillion in spending. Now, don't get me wrong. Republicans are not suggesting cutting any spending because heaven forbid we are responsible. So, like most times, the Democrats say, let's drive off that cliff at 100 miles an hour. The Republicans go, that's crazy. Let's drive off the cliff at 50 miles an hour. And then everyone else just goes, do we have to drive off the cliff? They go, yeah, we do. It's the plan. But the political gamesmanship, right? Whether this is Trump's idea or credited to Trump or whatever, he's basically sending a memo from the White House to all these agencies that say, if we don't get this thing passed and there's a government shutdown, we're going to start laying people off. Any program that, because the big beautiful bill helped fund certain parts that won't get shut down during a government shutdown. There's of course the quote unquote essential parts of the government that's not shut down. The non-essential, I forget, it's like 15% of the government or something that actually gets shut down. So they go, all right, well, if that happens, we'll just start laying people off that are in those departments. We'll lay it off until you get down to the minimum number of people required to keep it running. And then when they sign things back up, we just won't rehire. That's brilliant.
I love it.
Yeah, so it does two things. It helps accomplish the goal of thinning out the federal government, especially during a shutdown. These are the non-essential people. Okay, not essential. See you later. And just don't rehire them. You can't get sued because a layoff, there wasn't funding. We couldn't fund the jobs. We had to lay them off. And instead of doing the back pay thing, we just lay them off. And then they go, did you rehire? No, we're not going to do that. We're not bringing that position back. And so it does two things. Like one, it helps you with that goal. Or on the other hand, it puts stress on the Democrats where you go, yeah, you can demand $1.5 trillion. It ain't going to happen. And then you can get all these people fired. And it will be you. And of course, they'll blame it on Trump, the Republicans, and all that kind of stuff anyway. And it will be essentially the Trump administration that makes that call. But I think he would have made the call to fire him before, if not all these lawsuits and stuff. So I don't think they're necessarily afraid of taking the blame or the credit or what have you. But that'll be an interesting thing to monitor over this next week or so. Let's go government shutdown. Let's get this thing. See how many people we can get out of the government. Maybe we can stay closed for a while. Maybe through tax season.
Yeah, save some money.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be funny if a government shutdown, if the fight's real nasty, it goes on for 2 months, and all of a sudden people start looking at it and go, we might not have a deficit this year. This is great.
And more people jump on board that'd be awesome.
That would be great. It's like, hey, why don't we just shut down the government for half the year? Okay.
Like every year.
Every year. Yeah. That's what is it? Is it like Texas where their state Congress only meets like every other year?
I've heard that before. I don't know if that's a state, but I've heard about something like that in one of the, and that would make sense for Texas.
Yeah, no, it's like they only do 6 months, or they only meet every other year, or something like that. I'm down for that kind of thing. I mean, yeah, everybody go back to the districts you represent, stay there, and then we'll call you when we need you. You know. All right, we're gonna wrap on a happy little thing, something we covered previously. The president has been modifying the rose garden, of course, to eliminate all grass, because gardens don't need plants. But he was talking about having a nice wall for all the photos of presidents. And they asked, well, are you even going to put a photo of Joe Biden up? And he goes, I don't know. Maybe we'll do the auto pen. We'll commission a painting of the auto pen. Well, everybody, the White House, this was posted by somebody else, but I'm pretty sure the White House put it up. But the White House did provide this for us. I don't even know if there's audio. There's a bunch of pictures. There's Reagan, W. There's old Slick Willie. Or that's W. That was HW. There's Obama. There's Trump term 1. And the auto pen signing J.R. Biden Jr. Trump 2.
Which is the mugshot. Trump drew the mugshot.
Well, it's not.
Or, yeah.
I don't think it's actually the mugshot, but they took it with the mugshot sort of face. They were like, let's keep that going. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, even the shadowing is on.
Yeah, it was. They made it like ominous and revenge, like, you know, it was very purposeful here. But yeah, there he is, J.R. Biden Jr. Like, he did it. Even the little plaque just says Joseph R. Biden Jr. with the dates. Doesn't say auto pen. So, there we go. I wonder if there's a real picture behind it. We go, for later. But they did it. They did it. That's one of the greatest accomplishments so far this year. You know, you're just tired of winning, I'm sure.
The only tax spending I support.
Yeah, hopefully Trump paid for that out of pocket. I like a good gag. I mean, they could have probably printed that in-house. Maybe it didn't cost that much. Hell, I'll chip in $1 on it. All right. Make sure you like and subscribe. Check out our Loaded Grok segments that are popping up now. A little shorter content. We're also adding more clips all the time. Like those, share those, hit the subscribe thing. Make sure you get alerts when we drop new content. What you got for the people, Charlie?
Go back to...
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Us.
Yeah.
The Grok fact of the day: on September 25th, 1789, the United States Congress passed the Bill of Rights, proposing the first 10 amendments to the Constitution that would later be ratified.
And that is when we started the proud tradition of violating everyone's Bill of Rights. All right, everybody. We'll see you.